Are you tired of watching shows that only give you general social media theory and expect you to figure out how to apply it to your own industry? Join us for this week's episode of Social Chatter, the industry's longest-running social media marketing news talk show. Not only will you learn the latest breaking news, but you'll also gain practical advice on how to apply it. Now here's your host, Christian Karasiewicz.
Welcome, everyone, to Social Chatter, your weekly social media marketing news talk show. This is episode 287 with myself, and in the hot seat as co-host, we now have a new person, and it's Sarah Monroe. You've probably seen her on a couple of other episodes. So she's joining me co-hosting for the foreseeable future here. But we've got a great show for you this week. I'm really excited to have Sarah co-hosting with us. And this week's guest, it's going to be Amy Airom. And so, Amy, I hope I said your last name right. I didn't actually ask you how to pronounce it, so I hope I said it right. But we have a lot of great things we want to talk about this week. The first thing that I want to actually just share with you is we have an event coming up, actually, and that event is today. And it's the StreamYard Live Stream Success Summit. And I'm going to go ahead and bring this up actually for you. So this is happening today. You can sign up for it at StreamYard.com. Actually, it's StreamYard.com / let me get the right link there for you. It's StreamYard.com / SY Summit. And it's a fantastic event that we've got going on. We have currently over 15,000 people have registered for this event. It's going to be awesome. It's happening at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you have about 2 hours to register, basically. And it's an amazing event. We got a lot of great speakers. Let me see if I can actually bring this up for you and show you what these are going to look like. So, yeah, so let me just go ahead and share that with you guys. So this is the event. So it's the Live Stream Success Summit. Fantastic event. We've got over 15,000 people, as I mentioned, that are registered. A lot of really great speakers. So you're going to get to hear from Seth Godin, Amy Landino, Letitia Campbell's emceeing. You've also got Gage Vanatop and Dan Briggs, the co-founders of StreamYard. And then we've got some great sessions for you. So we've got sessions with Seth Godin. We've got Stu McLaren. If you've probably read their books or seen their talks, we're going to have them speaking. You're also going to have some really great YouTubers. We've got Nick Nimmin, D. Nimmin. We've got Daniel Batal, Roberto Blake. They're going to be speaking. In addition, we've got Jessica Phillips. We've got Sarah Nguyen, Brian Shulman. So that event, it's happening here at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So I hope you'll take the time to actually join us. Again, it's a free event. That's the other thing I want to mention. So a free event, definitely worth checking out. You're going to get a lot of takeaways there. And I mentioned that because, the Stream Social Chatter is powered by StreamYard. So I use StreamYard. I've been using it for quite a few years for Social Chatter. And, it's been extremely reliable and easy to use. And I love the fact that it makes my streams look professional as well. But with that, the other thing is, so you got the software, but also the other important part are the people that you have on your live streams. And so, for example, I've got Sarah joining me as my co-host for Social Chatter. Sarah, it's fantastic having you, by the way.
Great to see you. Great to see you. And, being co-host now, there will come a day where it's not snowing in Vermont and I join your live stream.
That's your running theme, right? So
it's a running theme.
But we're excited to have you co-hosting with us on Social Chatter. So I want to make sure we value everyone's time. So this week's guest is Amy Airom, and I'm going to bring her on. I'm going to have her tell you a little bit about herself. So Amy, it's fantastic having you join us for episode 287 of Social Chatter.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, you guys.
Thanks a lot for joining us. So
yeah, go ahead.
Just a favor, tell us who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, definitely. So my name is Amy Airom. You did not pronounce it correctly, and I'm not going to hold that against you. I'm not going to hold that against you because I'm still trying to figure out how I would ever try to pronounce your last name. So no worries there. I'm the founder of Capitalize Social Media. I help life and business coaches gain visibility and increase impact by helping them develop and produce their own Facebook Live shows. I love StreamYard. I've used it since the beginning of time when I started streaming, so I really love that I have a super easy tool to be able to teach them how to produce their own live shows. So that's basically me. I started out a few years ago as a social media manager, and then I realized, all the clients that I had, the ones that used live video, Facebook Live video, were the ones that had most success. So I said, you know what, I'm going to just do Facebook Live. I'm going to help my clients use Facebook Live to really, superpower their entire content strategy, and that's what I do now.
Fantastic. Yeah. And that's one thing about just about social media in general. I know a lot of people have pivoted, outside of just doing social media management. Live video, it's a part of social media. So, if you're on your Facebook Lives or your YouTube Live or LinkedIn Live, if you're approved for those, you're basically adding another layer of content that you can publish there on your channel for your business or for yourself. And by the way, one thing that you're probably wondering, well, why would I use StreamYard versus going live on those platforms? The big reason is that they do multi-streaming. So it means that you'll be able to take one broadcast. Like right now, we're currently broadcasting out to Facebook pages, LinkedIn, Twitch actually, and YouTube Live actually. So it does afford you the ability to do multi-streaming instead of what a lot of people, I think you probably ran into this, right, Amy? A lot of people would, they do their live and then they download it afterwards and then they go over to YouTube and upload it. And it's, when you're talking live video, we're talking big files and we're talking hours of time. So the great thing is it's one stream that goes out to all these destinations. So it's definitely, it's a real big time saver. So thanks a lot for joining us though. And I'll have to make sure I pronounce your name correctly in the future. I'm sorry about that.
No worries at all.
So Sarah, I'm going to turn it over to you. Where do you want to start with this week's news topics? I know we've got a lot.
Well, it's finally happening. Facebook is getting into the audio rooms and they rolled out Hotline, what they're calling Hotline, I should say. So this is coming from their developer team, NPE. Am I getting that right, Christian? NPE, right?
Yeah, NPE is an arm of Facebook, yeah.
It is an arm of Facebook. So what I see this as, in researching this a little bit, I really see it as a sandbox where Facebook is tossing all of these cool tools that they have acquired over the years and aligning it with this timeliness of the audio only rooms that we've seen rise with Clubhouse really taking the step forward in that. But all of the other major platforms are coming through with this as well. So we know in the back of our heads that this has been something on their to-do list and their development team testing. And so now here it is with Hotline. And Christian, you're sharing your screen right now. It looks like you actually got into, you're on the waiting list. Thanks for yeah.
So I don't actually, let me see something. I was actually planning to bring up the screenshots of the app actually. Have either of you actually, have you signed up for the wait list yet for Hotline?
I signed up for the wait list and I was a little confused that they asked me to sign in with Twitter, which is very odd to me. Yeah.
So, do me a favor, actually, Amy, I don't know, have you registered for the wait list yet?
I haven't. No, because I don't use Twitter.
Okay, so can you do me a favor, actually? Can you share your screen to hotline.co? I want to actually show people what the sign-up process is like, and we'll see if we can get some screenshots up as well.
I have a screenshot I can send over to you too.
Sure. Feel free to do a screen share and we'll bring it in. Yeah. That Hotline app, basically, it's an interesting product, actually. I mean, so NPE's Facebook's like testing arm. They're rolling out this app, and it's going to be a mashup between Clubhouse and Instagram Live. Mm-hmm. So pretty neat, actually.
It is really neat. And they're going to have a video option, too. So unlike Clubhouse, you're going to have the chance to turn on your video if you want to. You can invite people on stage as you normally would do. But out of the gate, they're coming out with question and answer, and with comments and all these great things like tools and polls and everything else, all of those things that we're accustomed to commenting and engaging with things on social media.
Yeah.
They're doing it from the start because they've seen what some of the others are doing in their betas, and they have all of these tools that they've acquired over the years. In fact, the head of this, who's the person who's heading up Hotline, was actually from one of the groups that they had acquired.
Fantastic. Yeah. So I got the registration. So basically the way it works is you have to sign up for this wait list. What's interesting is they're encouraging you, they're forcing you to actually sign up with Twitter, which is really unique. And then on top of that, they're also asking for a phone number as well. So it is going to get it. I think the phone number part's going to get pretty interesting because a lot of people don't have multiple phone numbers. They usually have one phone that they use, for example, for business and personal, or if they get for example, you can use like google.com/voice. A lot of people will go there and get a number as well, but then sometimes those don't always work when you have to put in a phone number on some of these applications. But that's Hotline app. It's hotline.co. And I'm going to actually bring up another screenshot actually of this as well. And this is actually what the Hotline app looks like. So this is actually it's pretty neat. I think this is, sorry for the graininess on this. Obviously we don't have a whole lot to go off of because of the fact that it's actually just being tested with a handful of people. But what's unique about this is that it's a combination of things. So it's, one of the challenges with doing Clubhouse or Twitter Spaces is that it's audio only, and you can't look at people's expressions on their faces, get an idea of, am I talking too long, for example, or people getting bored, and that sort of thing. And so I do hear that a lot of times when I am in a Clubhouse, for example. But with this, it's going to have the ability to basically do the video part and the text part as well. So somebody could stay as an avatar, which I think is kind of neat. What do you think, Amy? Is this something a business should tap into?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it depends on a lot of different factors on, your overall content strategy, because there is always going to be new social media platforms popping up. Audio only is, taking a lot of strides right now to kind of, dominate that area. And you're thinking, okay, as a business owner, gosh, well, Clubhouse is here. Now Hotline's coming out. Like, it really makes you wonder, should you spend the time there? And that's where you really have to step back and look at your overall marketing strategy and find out, is this something that I really want to invest my time in? Because there's a lot of things to consider when you're taking on a new platform. You're having to be active on there, and because it is audio only, it's you. Like, you have to be there. This is not something that you can delegate like you can other aspects of your social media marketing. So you really have to look and think about what time you can invest, and if it's something that, a place where your clients will be or partners will be, and that you really want to invest the time. So yeah, you definitely have to think back and figure out a strategy too. This is always my recommendation whenever you think that you want to try a new platform, again, as a business owner and having that limited time, is think about how you want to use, what kind of strategy you want to use. Have a strategy, number one, right? So set yourself like a timeline. Like, I'm going to try this new app for, say, 3 months. I like to use that timeline as a good amount of time to be able to get in there and really figure it out, use all the features, and then decide after 3 months, okay, did this, give me the return on my investment? Was this something that I really like to do? And really, understand it about yourself, about, how you feel about it and how it's beneficial to you personally. And then as, a business, that's, being able to incorporate that into your overall marketing strategy. Is it valuable and beneficial to you as well? So definitely set that timeline. Fantastic. And make sure, that you're not, going somewhere and spreading yourself too thin. That's the thing about all these new platforms.
Definitely. Yeah. Sarah, what do you think? Is this something a business could tap into immediately? Or should they kind of just, wait, like play the game of let's let everyone else, join, like sign up for the wait list, let everyone else join it. I'll get my name, and then, wait for everybody else to kind of pave that way and then figure out the strategy. What do you think?
I think if you are a podcaster, this is a fantastic way for you to get some engagement with your audience, to have a live show. This is really a live show, a live audio show. So if you've always wanted to be one of those radio talk show things, we're talking about audio rooms being this brave new world where we've had radio for eons, right? It's really that. It's an engaging platform for people to talk. So the one challenge, though, is that it's appointment, right? This is an appointment piece. So especially with Clubhouse, where they're not recording, you aren't going to use that content anywhere else. What's great about Hotline is that you can record it and you can repurpose it. You can turn on cameras. You can have comments. So, when I look at all the products, if there was one I was going to test, when I can test it, it would definitely, I think I might hop into Hotline first, especially for folks who are already thinking of or already doing podcasts, so that you can really engage those core folks. So I think it'll be a great place for you to actually have a conversation with your followers.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
It's really just an evolution of all of these virtual meeting platforms that we've been using for years. The mainstream news is talking like Zoom is a brand new thing. I've been using Zoom for 7 or 8 years, which I think a lot of us have. We've had Skype, we've had Google Hangouts, we've had Zoom and Teams and all of these products around here. They just haven't been used by most households. So this is something that will be used, I think, and give people a chance to engage in different ways.
Definitely. Yeah. And I'm particularly interested about a couple of things here. So the first thing is, I'm kind of surprised if it's a Facebook product, why are they making me sign up with Twitter?
Yeah.
Why didn't, I would actually think that, hey, why don't you, I could see this totally being an Instagram feature or an Instagram app, because, if I signed up, for example, with Instagram, it gets me into Instagram. This is a bit of a combination of Clubhouse and Instagram Live, meaning I'm going to be able to, while podcasts are typically one direction, this allows me to actually communicate with people potentially over video or over those Q&As that people are going to have, which essentially, if you're making a podcast, in some cases, it's going to be very similar, right? So when somebody does a podcast, they're typically taking a common question they get from the community and turning it into some sort of, audio, I would say discussion, but it's not really discussion, because then there's no way to actually do that discussion. So this is really kind of interesting, just the way they're doing this. So you can bring people on stage. There's, it's got a similar look to sort of to Clubhouse. Obviously, the colors are a little different. But the design, the functionality makes a lot of sense. So I don't know. I like this. Anything else you guys want to add? You all want to add about this Hotline app from Facebook?
I would say be careful what you're giving permission to. I'm really cautious with Clubhouse. We've talked about this before. I have not linked my contacts, and just because I just don't know what they're going to do with them. And now I've heard some of these horror stories of what's happening. Yeah. So when they asked me to sign up with Twitter, what it's saying to me in the back of my mind is that Facebook wants my Twitter handle. And they want to somehow access my Twitter following, which is actually larger. I'm pretty private on Facebook. Yeah. My Twitter account has far more followers, still small, but more. So Facebook is starting to scrape some more data because we are their product, right?
Right. What do you think, Amy? Anything else you want to add before we move to the next topic?
No, I think this is great. We covered all the bases. Thanks.
Very cool. So what's next, Sarah, in terms of topics?
What's next is the long-awaited Clubhouse for Android. They're finally saying that they're close. Those who haven't been following Clubhouse, it's only been on iOS because the developing field is a little easier because all Apple products use the same app development. So with Android, there are multiple apps that they have to develop to roll it out onto those phones. So still, I haven't heard any desktop whispers about Clubhouse, but finally, Android users will be able to get it.
Very interesting. Yeah. So I'm not necessarily an Android user, but I know a lot of people obviously ask for that. And the good thing is this is actually kind of funny. So it's the person is an Android developer at Clubhouse, but then it's and maybe this is the joke, sent from my iPhone. I'm not sure if they're actually an iPhone user building for Clubhouse. Not sure. But are you team Android or iOS, Amy?
iOS all the way. I really am interested to see how this pans out when they add Android, because I feel like a lot of the people that were really excited about Clubhouse to begin with. Like if they had an Android, they found a way to get an Apple product to get on Clubhouse. So, there's a lot of, people that have Androids, I've kind of heard the buzz that are like, oh, well, they don't care about us kind of thing. So I'd be interested to see, like, actually by when it is available, how many people are actually going to hop on from Android.
It will be. And the interesting part I think about this is that I feel like their move to get this into the market has been very slow. And I think as a result of that, like, now people are, Clubhouse, okay, it's almost going back to Meerkat and Periscope. It's like those came out years ago and they were really big at the time when they came out, and then it just dropped off for the most part. Periscope stuck around, Meerkat shut down, and I feel like you're seeing the same kind of thing happen here, and you're seeing all the other ones, they're going to either gobble it up or they're going to just stomp on them, So if I'm a business, as you mentioned, if you want to use something, go get a device. I mean, people I know were going on eBay, they were buying up, used iPhones, used iPads, for example. We're talking a couple $100 potentially for a device, and that would allow you to at least experiment, and you'd have some more functionality there, because the device is not just for Clubhouse. You could use it for other things.
Right, and test websites. There's a lot you can do with the second device too. So, yeah.
So I think from a business perspective, I mean, oh, and by the way, actually, we've got a good question from Melanie here. Sarah, can you share an example of a horror story? She's curious. This is in relation, by the way, to Clubhouse contacts.
Clubhouse contacts. So Mashable reported that there was a woman who is a sex worker, and she had a Clubhouse where she was having different rooms and different engagement. She didn't connect it wasn't her connecting her contacts. It was the people who knew her from childhood and family members who were getting onto Clubhouse. And when they linked their contacts, somehow she popped up and they jumped into her rooms to see what she was doing. Like, oh, here's this long lost friend. What are they doing on Clubhouse? And her whole business was outed. She had kept what she did for a living very, very private. And suddenly all of her long lost relatives and classmates found out what she does. So, and there's some other horror stories about that as well. I just don't know what they're scraping. I save some personal information in my contacts, like in the notes. There's some birthdays and anniversaries. There might be some other content in there, and I don't know what Clubhouse is taking. So whenever I sign up for any social media platform, and way back when I joined Facebook, I never connected my contacts to it. So it's just something to think about. I actually have an old iPhone that I'll probably just put Clubhouse on to switch it from my main phone so that I can use my invitations and things like that. But it's something to consider. It may not be your contacts. It may be whose contact list you are on that then has some security issue for you with Clubhouse. So I don't know. I'm very suspect about it all.
Anything you want to add on that, Amy? I mean, I think it's, I think the key takeaway is just be mindful about when you add a new app, if it asks for your contacts, like, think about the prompts or the things it's going to ask you for. But anything you want to add, Amy?
I'm with Melanie. She's like, wowzers. I was like, wow, that's one crazy horror story. And being mindful of it, I think that's the best advice, definitely.
Yeah. So, okay. So we're going to stick with audio real quick. We got, I think, two other topics, right, Sarah?
Yeah. So Reddit, not to be left out, Reddit is joining the audio room as well. One thing about Reddit, they know their lane. They know their users. They know what they like. They know how people are going to use their platform. They went through a major overhaul in 2018. They're kind of known for not jumping on the trends. But here's a place where they are going to have a space so that it's not just those anonymous names. It's now going to become voices as well. So it's interesting. Reddit's been really quiet about how many users they have too. I had to search back a little bit to find some user data on them, and was October of 2020 that they actually announced, yes, we have 52 million daily users. So this is going to be an interesting little toy for them all to play with.
Yeah. So I know there's not a lot here, I mean, in terms of Reddit, but Amy, what do you think? I mean, do you use Reddit at all, or kind of just
I really haven't followed. Yeah, that's not something that I've really dug into at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think the key thing, the thing that's surprising, I think, to me about the fact that Reddit might be getting into audio rooms. I mean, I know part of it's they want to, keep up with everyone else, but most people that go on Reddit, I don't think they're real. They don't position themselves as a real person. And so, you go on Reddit, it's a lot of discussion forums, and you'll have a few people that will be a real person. So I don't know if somebody's really going to go into audio, because for the most part, they'll just leave, some sort of harmless comment, or, they don't masquerade. They're not saying like, hey, this is like Sarah on Reddit, for example.
Mm-hmm.
It's,
right.
Some random username that people really, I'm sure if you backtrack, you can probably figure out who it is, but for the most part, they don't really, they don't out themselves as like, hey, I'm so-and-so on Reddit. I'm so-and-so on all these other places. So I think it's kind of interesting they're doing this. I do think it makes a lot of sense, at least, to have an audio feature. But, to both of your points earlier, I mean, we're going to probably run into some privacy issues, I think, at some point. So if I'm a business, I mean, honestly, I don't think a business has, I mean, there's places on Reddit for business, but I don't think that most of your customers are going to be on Reddit. So I would just kind of chalk this one up as like, hey, you know what, I'll keep that one in the back pocket if Reddit actually becomes much more than it currently is. Anything else you want to add on this one, by the way, or do you want to move on to something a little more exciting?
Can move on. I know that there's a big new tool that we're going to talk about next, which is having to do with Canva. Some very fun features that Canva is rolling out.
So what do we have going on here?
Canva is adding presentations, and I actually haven't explored this. I think Amy and Christian are going to share their screens to show how Canva is taking presentations to the next level and providing a more dynamic collaboration space for people as well, which is great. If anybody has I've shared projects on Canva. It's great that you can do real-time changes, or you can copy things and add, especially for working in partnerships or something, you can make changes to a deck that someone's put together.
Yeah, and I know, Amy, you were telling me like you use Canva quite a bit. So I don't know if you want to like run through this. Do you want me to run through the changes or the updates? I mean, from Canva, how do you want?
Yeah, I'll show my screen, but yeah, go ahead and kind of talk through it, and then I'll demonstrate it as we go.
Okay, cool, very cool. So first off, Canva has they've been given a $15 billion valuation, which is amazing. Fantastic job for Melanie Perkins at Canva. So they've launched with this a suite of presentation products for workplace, which is pretty amazing now. So basically, they're launching workspaces to be able to collaborate on presentations. So if you think Google Drive, something very similar here. You obviously have a very similar tool, except for the fact that with Google Drive you have to go get all of these items, whereas with Canva, all of the images, all of the artwork, all of the layouts, anything like that is already there in Canva. So it's pretty amazing. With this, they're launching quite a few features, actually. So they're rolling out workplace templates. So you're going to have access to tons of presentations, pitch decks, training materials, status trackers. If you've ever tried to put together a presentation outside of now Canva or Google Drive, and you try to do, for example, Microsoft, somebody doesn't have the right version and all this other, stuff can happen, right? So they're giving you a ton of templates. They're giving you talking presentations, so you can record a presenter video that accompanies each slide. They're also rolling out mobile first presentations. So these are ones that are, so when we talk mobile first, these are thinking with mobile in mind. So if you're going to be a mobile presenter, Canva is going to be a great solution there. They're going to also roll out charts and infographics. So if you want to put together charts and infographics, super easy to do now. They also have something called Canva Live, which makes engaging presentations effortless. So you can engage with people anywhere in the world with live Q&A displayed on screen during the session. That's pretty neat, actually. And then they've also added something that I think is pretty cool. It's called Magic Shortcuts. And these are basically ways to, they say to surprise and delight the audience. But these are pretty neat, actually. So What we have here on screen, I know I'm gonna let Amy actually walk you through this, I guess.
Yeah, so there's a few different options that we have to be able to click these shortcut keys, and I'll tell you which one I'm pressing as we do it. So if you take your keyboard in the presentation mode, of course, when you hit present, and on your keyboard you can press B and it'll kind of shadow and blur it out, and then you press C, and then you get this cool confetti, like neat little, maybe an after effect at the end of your presentation, and throw some confetti in the air. That's really cool. And if you need a countdown timer, you can just simply press on the numbers on your keyboard. And so I pressed 1, now it's counting down from 1 minute. You can go all the way up to 9 minutes. So like if you're in a presentation and you want to give your audience, a few minutes to write some things down or take some notes, here's your countdown timer right on the screen, so you don't even have to add any additional technology onto your presentation. So I think it's a really cool new features, and I'm definitely going to be able to use those.
And I want to add a couple more, actually. So let's have you tap the S key. So the S key should pull up
May have to
animation.
Yeah, kill the timer there. Yeah,
let's try that.
Let me start over because it was in the.
So basically you go into Canva and you click present, and we see present here. And then if you tap, I think the S key, that should work. Is that not working on your end?
No.
So S should actually pull up an animation. You can also do O. O should pull up floating bubbles. There we go. We got some floating bubbles. You can obviously use, these are just very standard keyboard shortcuts. You can also hit the D key. That's going to give you a drum roll.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then this is pretty neat, actually. I mean, so these are all built into Canva. These are just some of the magic shortcuts, but they're basically building this to where you can collaborate faster on a presentation. I will say, I do like the fact that presentations, they tie in a lot of the guides that you normally would get with, like when you're trying to do like graphic design. Now that you have designs, like I'm building a presentation, I want to center, the image, for example. It makes it a lot easier to put all these things on screen. So this is the Canva presentation suite. There's a ton of stuff there. As I mentioned, I dropped a link to that. And you also, I think you have to be a Canva Pro user, right? Do you happen to know that?
I think so. I think it is for Canva Pro. It's nice that they're a little easier to find. All of these bells and whistles may exist on things like PowerPoint, but it can be so cumbersome. Canva has just a nice interface and really easy to use controls, which is why they've done so well, right? It's so much easier than things like Premiere or Adobe Illustrator or things like that.
Yeah, and that's one of the challenges that people want to, they want to make it hard for, like, I wouldn't say they want to make things complicated. I think it's the technology is complicated for people sometimes. And so that's where like this, whole Canva presentation suite is going to be super handy. It looks like you do get presentations, by the way, with all of the plans. But of course, since this is they position as a bit of a workspace feature, I think you probably need the Pro plan. But it's pretty neat. I mean, what do y'all think? I mean, if I'm a business, should I be using this? I'm sure Amy's got a lot of thoughts on this, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the countdown timer number one is like huge, because if you're in a presentation and you want to, give your audience some time, it's, for them to know it's right on the screen how much time they have left. I think that's a really great way to make your presentation more engaging, and then, of course, have it all in one place for them to see. So yeah, and then the fun features of the bubbles and the drum roll, all that kind of stuff, and having that collaborative workspace to really work together and bring together a team, that's always so beneficial. So yeah, I love Canva. I mean, with the background remover that they added a while back, and now they have the curved text. The Pro plan is, I mean, it's only $13 a month. It's just a no-brainer, I think.
Yeah,
well, and their collaboration has always been where they've killed it, right? Is that you can jump in from anywhere and fix something. Like if you need to fix something for your client, or say you have the PR team has to sign off on something, or the marketing team has to sign off on something, they can hop in. What's great about the presentations that they're promoting is that you can do this from anywhere. You can do this on your phone. So say you're running late on your production schedule, and you know that the PR person has just left on the road to do something, they can hop in and make a change or sign off on what you've put together, and then you can just roll out your presentation. So I think it's a great evolution of where they're going with their tools.
By the way, Amy, we've got a question from Melanie. Melanie wants to know how to do the timer again. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share your screen again, and I want to show people this. So I want to have you. So basically, first step. Actually, let's exit out of that real quick. So on Canva, so make sure first off, make sure you add a presentation, and then just click. In this case, there's a presentations area. You can either start with a blank one, or you can just add a template on the left, for example. And then we simply just click present. And there's different options. They'll give you like PDFs, but we're choosing the standard option. And now all you have to do is tap the keyboard shortcut. So it's
so the countdown timer is just pressing the amount of minutes that you want to present on the screen. So all the way up to 9 minutes, press 9 and count down from there. Press 5, counts down from there. You can start it over on this little button.
And we tried doing I think 10, right? So try entering like 10. Let's see what happens. It probably gives you 1 and then
0.
Yeah.
So just kind of keep that in mind, but it does have that nice animation, which I do like. So very, very, very cool. I like this. And then the other thing I also like is, as you move your cursor there on screen, it lets you easily follow where the cursor's at, as opposed to somebody's got to, figure out where the cursor's at on the screen. I don't know if you click on that and drag, does it let you actually do like laser pointer or something?
No, it's simply just pointing where you're at, but I think that's still useful. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. No, that's really cool. So does that help you, Melanie, hopefully? Let us know in the comments.
Ooh, she said, ooh, and thank you.
Awesome. Fantastic. We love hearing that. I mean, Melanie's a Canva creative as well, but the presentation tools they're rolling out are really nice. I mean, I got to say that countdown timer is like, it's a question that I always get about for live streaming. People want to know, how do I put that on a live stream? And now you actually can do that. You just bring up your presentation, you throw up the countdown timer. By the way, let's do this. Can we bring that back up? I want to see if can we drag that around by chance? I'd love to know if we could reposition it. I don't think so, but
it's kind of cool. What reminds me of is if you've ever gone to a BNI group, business networking, or any kind of presentation where Toastmasters or things like that, especially if you're doing these virtual events, you have a countdown timer for the talk.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. So by the way, hit the Q key real quick. Let's see if that brings up. There we go. Yeah. So you get some fun little things, and you hit the B key that can blur things out. I mean, so it's really neat the way this is working. I mean, this is pretty cool. So I'm amazed with this. Okay. So in terms of social media, that's the big stuff we got this week for you. So now what we would do is we want to turn it over to Amy. We've got a couple of questions for her. So she mentioned she worked in social media management initially. She moved into doing Facebook Lives for customers. So I'm going to let Sarah ask you a couple of questions.
Sure. We've been talking a lot about these audio rooms. So you did speak a little bit about how businesses can select whether or not to use this, but what kind of strategies would you recommend that people use to help decide if Clubhouse or Spaces or Hotline is a place for them to spend their time?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for asking. There's really two things from my perspective that it's important to assess whenever you're going into thinking about using a new platform. Number one is your audience there? Is this something that really aligns with your overall marketing strategy? So are you, like you mentioned, Sarah, are you a podcaster? This is a great opportunity to align with the podcasting community because they're used to and wanting to listen in that audio format, and they want to engage. So it's a really great way to kind of maybe partner your podcast with maybe an after show and have that conversation open up, for example, on a audio only platform, and kind of have that strategy and partner that together. That's one way to do it. But if you're, like I said at the beginning, if you're starting into, testing out these platforms, have a strategy of testing it, and then, use all the features, like start your own room and really experience what it's like to use those additional features. So you can always just be a listener and really spend your time there. If you're planning on being a listener, I always recommend that you look for the rooms that you really want to engage in. The Clubhouse, for example, that's the one I have the personal experience with, going into Clubhouse and actually seeing the rooms and like being intentional about what rooms that you're going into, not just like randomly hopping in, halfway through, like actually saying, oh, this topic sounds interesting. I'm going to block out my time. I'm going to show up there at 10 a.m. and be there for the hour, whatever the case may be. So that way you're really getting that full experience of listening into that room. And then, create your own room, potentially with someone else who you can kind of partner together to promote it. That would, kind of help bring an audience, and with the cross promotion, kind of start you off. So you're not just, creating a room and then waiting for people to show up, that kind of thing. But really, having the aspect of being able to, again, incorporate that into your overall content strategy, your marketing strategy, and then figure out what ways that you can use it to find out if it's something that you would really be interested in using. So for me, for example, I joined a Clubhouse in the middle of December when it was kind of first really starting to pick up speed. And I used all the features, I started rooms, I collaborated with some people. And then when it came down to it, I was like, this is not something that really like excites me. Like video excites me. Being on video and connecting on camera really excites me. Audio it doesn't do it for me, but I use that test to really understand what, how I felt about it. So again, like testing it to find out if it works in your marketing strategy, and then using it to then understand, is this something that really excites me, or is it something that, I would rather use my time for other things?
No, I hear you. I listen to podcasts. I want to be a podcast listener. I really do. I listen to a ton of public radio, right? But when it comes down to engaging with podcasts, I actually watch the YouTube video versions of it, and it just sort of plays in the background. I might look at the faces, but it's hard for me too to get into the audio. And Clubhouse, I was I came on in December as well, and it was helpful for me in that I have like this little cohort of women business owners, and we get together once a week. So it's like a conference call. But for the others, it's been tough for me to jump into it as well. So I hear what you're saying.
And what a question I have for you in terms of, I made a note about being intentional in testing out products. How long should somebody test? How long do you think they should spend testing out the product? So obviously, it's like, for example, if I want to go buy an iPad, for example, I'm not just going to go buy one. I'm going to, think about it and see, is that something that I think will work in my business? Then I may go to the store. I may play around with the demo model, for example, when we were going to stores normally. And then, at some point, then I'm going to make that purchase. So it's not always an immediate buy, right? So in terms of testing out products, same kind of thing here. In this case, you don't really get to try before you buy sort of thing. How long do you think somebody should test out these products before they decide it's not for them?
I really think that 3 months is kind of my rule of thumb in anything when it comes to social media. So, I will, incorporate a new, feature that, Facebook always comes up with new different features, Facebook Messenger rooms and all these, they used to have watch parties or those are going to phase out, but using those new features, Instagram and Reels and all the things that are trending that they want you to use them, for a couple, 2-3 months and really understand them if that's something that you're interested in. And then decide, after that 2 or 3 months, like, is this something I really want to do? Am I getting the results that I want? Do I really like personally? Do I like using it? All those things taken consideration, and you'll know, so that's the key, right? Is not just like I think sometimes it can be hard when something's new and exciting that you want to spend all your time doing it. But, as a business owner, you're busy, you've got other things to do. You don't want to let other, marketing strategies, other things that have been working kind of fall to the wayside because you're so focused on, one new thing. So incorporate it and give yourself that time to really adapt and understand and learn while you're, running your business, basically.
Excellent. So I know we've got one other question for you, and it's about promoting or marketing your audio only rooms, or in this case, it could be promoting or marketing your presence on Hotline app or Twitter Spaces or Clubhouse. So can you share, just real quickly, 3 ways that people can promote or market their rooms, for example, that they might be running?
Yeah, definitely. So, 3 ways. I'd say to begin with, you definitely want to promote it where you're already at, right? You've got a place where you're primarily spending most of your time on social media, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or wherever it is. Like, those places is where you kind of want to start, right? Because you're saying like, okay, I'm usually here and now I'm going to be spending my time over here. So follow me over there and let me know, get involved in the conversation, basically. So that's definitely key, is promoting it where you're already at to your existing audience. Number 2 is, again, I kind of mentioned this before, but bringing in somebody else, like Sarah mentioned, she's got our group of business owners, women business owners that she meets, like use your existing network to bring your audience in, to cross promote, to really make that to where you're kind of cross marketing across multiple people. So it's not just you starting this room and it's scary and you're by yourself. Like, use that kind of the power of a team opportunity to be able to really leverage that option. And lastly, I think really just promoting it maybe to your email list and, kind of talking about it in general terms. Like I remember I had an experience where I listened to, there was Damon John and Barbara Corcoran in a Clubhouse room. And I listened to it for like 40 minutes, and it was like Damon John was introducing Barbara Corcoran as like a new Clubhouse user, and that was what the room was about. And the conversation got like really personal. Like, I would never expect for Barbara, to share these things that she did. And, get real personal about what it's like to be a business owner and a mom and juggle all the responsibilities and things like that. And I took that conversation and what I heard out of it, and then I made a post on Facebook, kind of like, you might not have been there, and if you weren't there, this is what this episode was about. This is how I related to it, and it just really opened my eyes to that. So you're kind of like promoting the fact that you're spending time on Clubhouse, but you're also giving value for people that weren't there. And that really opened up a whole conversation, with my existing network about, like motherhood and business and things like that. So kind of just using it as an opportunity to connect and, repurpose as much as possible, because, there's naturally not that recording option available for people to listen afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Now, these are really, really, really good points, actually. So, I love all the insights. And, the other thing also, I think with a lot of this is like you mentioned how you work at helping people do Facebook Lives, for example. So you move from social media management to Facebook Lives, and it's the same thing. Like, okay, so somebody moves into, audio only rooms, for example, it's taking something they currently do, for example, if it's a Facebook Live, and they can quickly and easily export the audio, for example, from that Facebook Live. And now, that could become a podcast, for example, or if the platform allows you to upload audio snippets, maybe at some point, then that now is an easy way for somebody to make that transition, as opposed to trying to kind of figure out what's the next thing. So pretty amazing there. So what we want to do, we want to move into our Act 3 here for the show, by the way, and it's called Tool Time. And Sarah, we're gonna have to get you doing the tool time that Phil and Jem used to do. So.
Right. My singing is not a gift, so you won't hear me sing, but it is time to jump into the fun tools that we found this week. And the first one is called Plexicam. And it's funny because I work with young people who make inventions, and I have to say this looks like something that they totally would have come up with after working on Zoom for a year with their schools. So what it is, and I think you have a screenshot of it, right?
There we go, yeah.
So it's this adjustable slider for your screen where you can move your webcam to whichever height or whatever part of the screen that you want. So say you have a transcript behind it, or say the way that you have all of the speakers, you want to seem like you're looking at them, but you actually want to be looking at them, right? Instead of what we all do, which is I actually I have a sticky note that has a little smiley face on it next to my webcam to make me think that I'm talking to a person, rather than look down and actually see Amy and Christian on my screen. So it's a cool little tool. Again, it's clear, so you can see what's going on the screen behind you, especially if you're sharing a screen or something like that. If you're working in presentations, like we just showed, if you have to see where your cursor is moving on your screen, your camera will be right there with you, so it doesn't look like your eyes are wandering across.
Yeah, this is a pretty amazing tool, by the way. I mean, and so it starts at around, and I say starts at around $45, and they have a few options here for that. So I just want to pull up basically the way these work. And here's the thing: this is actually a really good price if you think about it, because what a lot of people do when they go to do a Facebook Live, if they're using the built-in webcam, for example, they're going to have their laptop positioned here. Let me pull this up. So they're going to have the laptop positioned down here. So they're going to be looking down. So then you're going to see their forehead, or, the things to be too high. So they're going to be looking up. Then you're going to be looking up the person's nose. So it's not a very inviting thing. And the best way to solve this is actually to do something like this that basically goes right in front of your screen. It's clear. You're still going to have that camera. So it is, you may be able to put, a screen or something sort of above you, but it does go right on top of your laptop. There's options for smartphones here. We've got a smartphone option. We've got a wave shelf so that it can move toward you. You move it yourself. You can put your webcams on there as well, such as your Logitech Brio or your C920. But they have a couple of options. So it's $45 for the Mini. The Plexicam Pro is $55, and then they have a Plexicam Max. And what's actually really interesting about this, so I want to actually pull this up. So this is basically the way it works. And so there's your size. This is the Plexicam Pro, and you just kind of have to base it off of your screen. And so they have some really good guides as well on how to actually use their product. But what do you think about this one, Sarah?
I think it's really cool, especially for me. I use a ring light too. I have fair skin, fair eyes. So I need to move that ring light up a little bit more, which means that I can start to you can actually start to see the ring in my eyes if my camera's positioned too high. So what's nice is that this gives you a chance to have it mid-screen where you're looking at other people's faces. If you're in a chat like we are right now, you can also look at your transcript too, which is terrific. And it doesn't seem like you are, you're reading, but you can have those notes in front of you. Or you can work through a presentation. If you're going through a demonstration as well, like here's how we step-by-step do something, you're looking into the camera and you're really trying to connect with people eye to eye when you do that.
Fantastic. What do you think, Amy? Any feedback on this one?
I love it. Last night when I saw that, I was like, oh gosh, I'm showing my husband, I have to get one of these, because I think naturally we're inclined, like, I want to look at you. You want to look who you're talking to, like in the eyes. And it's really hard to do that when you're looking at a webcam and then you're seeing, people. So this gives you the opportunity. I think it's really cool. I'm going to get one.
And they're looking down at their keyboard, for example. They're not looking at you. And so eye contact is key, by the way, when you're doing any sort of live video. And this could be a meeting. It could be if you're giving a course, for example, you're speaking to the room, even though there's no one there, for example. So it's, you want to make sure you set yourself up for success. And I'd recommend checking out the Plexicam. Now, the other tool we had for you this week as well, Sarah, do you want to tell people about that one as well?
Yeah, this is one you found, Christian. Photo Unblur. So this gives you a chance to have some photography skills that you may not possess, or that your camera that you're using may not possess. So it gives you a chance to blur the background around you. What's cool is that this is for video too. It's not just for stills. And it gives you a chance to add a little bit more customization that you get to control, instead of, say, the set filters. I think we all know what the Mayfair filter looks like on Instagram. Is it Mayfair or Lo-Fi? The one that sort of blurs the background but puts that round black image around, blur around you. I'm not explaining it very well. But so this gives you a chance to blur those backgrounds or to highlight certain aspects of a photo. On mobile, and again, it can do photo and video. I noticed in their little promo video, it seemed a little clunky in cutting off some arms, kind of like when you do the virtual background on Zoom or on StreamYard, when you have a green screen behind you, or you're just using the standard virtual background and you don't have a green screen. You can see there are times where it doesn't keep up with you. You lose an arm, or there's just some weirdness going on around the edges. So it looked a little strange with that when I was looking at it, but overall, it looks like an interesting app to try if this is something that's really important to you.
Yeah, Amy, do you have anything you want to add on this one?
I love tools that make, technology easy and be able to do things that, you maybe actually need a really high quality camera to do, but you don't. So
Yeah.
no, I really love this one too.
Well, and I would add this. I mean, the other thing, so there's two things I want to make a point about. So the first one is the cost. So we were talking about this before the show, and this tool it seems like it's expensive if you're paying on a weekly basis. So it's $5 a week if you want to do the weekly subscription. But if you want to then go to, it's interesting, weekly subscription, $5, 1 week subscription, $3, monthly subscription, $9, and yearly subscription, $70. So you kind of have to look at how much you would use this. I think this is especially helpful if, for example, sometimes instead of firing up Photoshop and trying to use the blur tool that's in there, you may buy this, for example, for, let's say it's $9 a month. You buy this, and then you could snap a photo with your phone, and then you could quickly open it in this app and do the blurring. And that's essentially, you can round trip. So you can say like, hey, you know what? I want to post this on social media, and I want to make sure I blur that object in the photo first. Maybe it's an address, a person's face, a credit card number, any of that kind of stuff, right? Anything that you don't really want in the public. And so what you would do, it's sometimes easier if you just do this on a mobile phone, because you can use your fingers to quickly blur the things you want blurred. So,
right, especially if you're I work events with minors, and you can't always have all of those young faces on something, but you want to do some live social media posting. So this gives you the chance to do that. I also see it great for product photos that you can really focus on. Say you're trying to sell a ring, you can really focus on someone's hand and blur a little bit more of the background, still kind of get that lifestyle look to it without, completely losing the person behind it, but highlight the product that you want to sell.
Excellent points. Anything else you want to add, Amy, on this one?
This is great. I love that you introduce these tools and give us kind of some direction on it. Thank you.
Anytime.
Good.
So that's going to do it, by the way. We're at the end of Social Chatter, episode 287. It's been a pretty amazing show, actually. So I just have a couple of quick points I want to run through. So the first thing is, as I mentioned, we've got the Live Stream Success Summit that's happening in just over an hour now, actually. It looks like. So StreamYard.com/SY Summit. Definitely go check that out. They power Social Chatter. So go check that out. If you want to get the latest topics and tools and whatnot that we have this week, we have an email that goes out, socialchefs.com/daily. Just go there, sign up for the newsletter. I'll send you a link to all of the video replay, as well as the Alexa flash briefing, the blog post, and much more. Sarah, if people want to get in touch with you, how do they get in touch with you?
They can find me. Sarah Monroe VT is my handle across social media platforms. So you can just look me up and start a conversation.
Fantastic. And Amy, how do people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about, the Facebook Live services and whatnot that you offer?
Yeah, definitely connect with me on, again, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Amy Airom. That's where you'll find me.
Fantastic. So it's at Amy Airom, right?
That's correct. Yep.
Fantastic. So let's make sure we put that up there. So yeah, be sure you go and connect with both Sarah and definitely Amy. So with that, I just want to remind you, we have the blog post recap that's going to go out over the weekend at socialchefs.com/SC287. We also have the flash briefing and the podcast. And with that, I want to just remind you, we're going to have a guest next week. We're going to have Scott Ayers on. We always joke, by the way, that he's been on probably the most on the show, but we're going to have him on next Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. He works for Agora Pulse in the social media lab. So we're going to see what experiments he's up to. But that'll be on youtube.com facebook.com/social chefs or facebook.com/social chefs. I hope to see you all there. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.